Hi everyone! This video is a book review about a book that I recently completed, and the title of this book is Kahuna Power: Authentic Chants, Prayers, and Legends of the Mystical Hawaiians by Timothy Green Beckley and Psychic Impressions by Maria Carta. I gravitated toward this book because I had a book last year that I had purchased at a completely different store, and it was about the Kahuna. What I read truly sparked my interest, and I had a lot of questions left unanswered. That book mysteriously vanished. I don't know where it went. It just vanished. And so I didn't have a book for a long time until I got this one. This one I purchased for $2. And the reason it is $2 is because it is completely falling apart. But it was still worth the buy. It was published in 1987. And I believe this may be a copy from the 80s. At the front of the book, you will see two people. This is the author, Timothy, or Tim Beckley, and this is Maria Carta, the psychic. It says, Tim and Maria at the very start of their mystical quest for knowledge about the Kahuna of Hawaii. So before I get into the book and its review, I want to tell you a little bit about the authors. So, Tim Beckley, Timothy Green Beckley. He's a movie maker, a journalist, a magazine and book publisher, and he writes about a wide range of controversial topics. He is best recognized for his offbeat subject writings. He's also known as Mr. UFO. When I looked him up, he had about 45 books. Some of them were co-authored, most of them were written by him. A majority of his books are all about UFOs. So if you ever want to find an author that writes specifically about UFOs, Tim Beckley is the guy to go to. It says that over the past 2 decades, he has been a popular guest on an estimated 400 radio and television talk shows, discussing not only his personal experiences, which go back to an early age, but has kept the public up to date on events in this often very sensational field. His most recent book was published in 2018, and it is about Nikola Tesla's purple plates. I never heard of this, but after reading the bio of that book, I am definitely, not only am I going to get the book, I'm going to get a purple plate, okay, because I want to see how it works. And when I get it, I'll show it to you guys. So the next bio I'm about to read is Maria H. Carta. She is currently known as Maria Lee Carta, L-E-E. And I have to read her bio because this is going to be very interesting. Maria Carta is an especially gifted psychic whose fame is spreading rapidly. Reincarnated from Atlantis, ancient Egypt, and more recently as a Hawaiian Kahuna priestess, it is only natural that she would be interested in putting her personal touches on this particular topic. But here I am, just being regular old me. I'm not even reincarnated from Atlantis. Dang, okay. A clairvoyant since birth, Maria can chart a person's past and see into their future. She reads tarot cards, can see the human aura, channels beings from higher dimensions, talks to spirits, can see guardian angels, and is often of help in guiding a person's life in the areas of love, finances, employment, family, friends, as well as being able to reveal karmic patterns. She is often able to give lucky numbers and bring good luck to those she reads for. Well, you know what? I'm about to contact Maria, get some lucky lottery numbers. Like, dang, this lady's resume is amazing. It makes my resume feel like nothing. But she has a website called starsfrommaria.com. So if you want to check out starsfrommaria.com, it's M-A-R-I-A Maria.com. Sorry about that, everyone. My computer cut off. But back into the book review. So what I enjoyed about this book was that the authors took their time to interview natives of Hawaii, but they also interviewed experts in Hawaiian history and mythology. So you'll see in this book, there will be a lot of examples of stories from mythology, but also historical events like Captain Cook encountering 10,000 Hawaiians and see what happened to him. Anyway, so I was very overwhelmed when I was reading this book because there was so much information that I had to wrap my mind around. I just couldn't believe it. My imagination was bouncing off of the walls. A lot of the questions that I had from the book that I had read before were answered in this book. So I will break this book down as simply as I can. So in the beginning, they speak about who are the Kahuna? Who are they? It says, the mere mention of the word Kahuna strikes fear in the hearts and minds of many otherwise rational people. Why? Mainly because the Kahuna thought to be witch doctors who could literally will a person to die, even if they were many miles away. Yeah, that was when I became scared of the Kahuna, because I'm like, what? I read about this in the old book. There was a Kahuna death prayer to the god Lono, and just reading the prayer without even saying it out loud sent a bad vibration in my body. I was like, okay, I'm never saying this again. But in this book, they include chants and prayers, and one is the death prayer. They give a pronunciation list, which I will come across. It's kind of difficult to turn because my book is falling apart, but that's all right. So it says, and while it is true that some kahunas practice a type of black magic, the word kahuna has, in reality, a very sacred and spiritual meaning. Kahuna simply means keeper of the secret or heart lord. He might have been a doctor, surgeon, scientist, herbalist, navigator, or musician. The secrets of the kahuna's trade were carefully guarded so they did not fall into the wrong hands. And even though these authors did gather a lot of information, it's not as much information as they could have gathered if they were either native or if they were non-white. And they mention this in the book. A lot of people are like, I don't really trust you because you're white, and I don't know what you're going to do with my ancestors' information. But I think they did a pretty good job with the information that they did have. They also said that there were different types, different kinds of kahuna, which I did not know. So one was a medical kahuna. There's ones that focus on love, like concentrating. There's one who's a prayer specialist. There's one who can and inflicts illness by rubbing his own head to give a severe headache to another. There's a masseuse, an obstetrician. They all go by different names. So I'm sorry I can't pronounce the names to you. I have the pronunciation guide, but I don't want to butcher up another person's language and offend anybody. So one is, but I'll try with this one. One is the Kahuna Ho O Hanau is an obstetrician. He has the power to grant a pregnant woman a painless delivery. He does it by taking the pain upon himself or by transferring it to the father. Wouldn't we all want to do that? You did this to me. Here, take my pain too. But yeah, the kahuna are something else. Like, the more I read, I'm like, God, these people can do anything. They have telepathic messages that they can send. They can cast demons out of your body. They can bring you back to life. In fact, they talk about the kahuna bringing the dead back to life. several times in this book. And one thing I noticed, that there was a part of the foot that the soul is supposed to go through. And I don't know why the foot, but I'm pretty sure that there is maybe an acupuncture point in the foot that may deal with rejuvenating the physical body. Talks about the 3 parts of the soul. I'm sorry, okay. So here is the glossary of how to pronounce these words. So I as a as in yes, s, eat, I kane. See, I don't even know. But what was I saying before I forgot what I was saying? Yeah, there are a lot of similarities in this book between the mythology of the Hawaiians and Christianity. In fact, one of the creation myths is almost identical to the Genesis story. You just switch the names. And what was interesting was, even in that story, I don't know who was the creator in the Hawaiian story, but the rib was taken out to form the woman. And so this is veggie backing to what I just said about the soul entering through some part of the foot. There may be a point there, an acupuncture point or something to do with the foot that relates to the physical regeneration of your body. Because in the Genesis and in the Hawaiian story, it talks about the rib making the woman. Well, the rib can regenerate itself. I did not know this. It can regenerate itself. So yeah, there's so many things in here. Like, they talk about the goddess Pele and how she appears in different forms as a warning for the people. So if she's dressed in black, it's a warning for something else. If she's dressed in red, it's a warning for something else. Sometimes she appears in as an older woman. Sometimes she appears as a younger, beautiful young woman with flowing red hair. And I feel this relates to Wicca with the triple goddess, because you have the maiden, the mother, and the crone. So it's all aspects. But a lot of people really, truly love Pele. They don't want to get on her bad side, because if you get on her bad side, you just don't want to see what happens to you. Honestly, don't want to see what happens to you. And the people that they interviewed in this book, some of them, they had very similar stories about encountering Pele. They said they picked up an older lady on the side of the road, or they picked up a young woman off the side of the road, and they looked in the back and she was gone, or there was an older woman in the back and then it was a young woman in the back, and it was like, oh my God, or a person, a beautiful young woman walking through the town but saying nothing. Sometimes she says nothing at all. It's just very, very interesting. Some of these chants and mantras, I didn't even read them in my mind. Some of them I am too afraid to read because I am not initiated into this belief system. I don't want to offend anybody's ancestors. I don't want to offend any spirits. I don't want to bring any type of death on me, like this death prayer in this book. I believe that's why my other book disappeared, because it had a death prayer to Lono, and when I read it, I could feel my body just reacting to it. So skip over the death prayer if you get this book. But in the back, in the other part of this book, there are, they detail herbs that you can use to heal yourself. They talk about elementals and other creatures in Hawaii. One is the leprechauns called it's basically leprechauns. like elves, imps. They do the same thing like fairies do in the Americas. Various omens, ways that the kahuna can tell the future. One is portents and clouds. They'll read the clouds and tell what is coming. Sometimes it is a warning, sometimes it is good news. There's also one of the questions, as I said, I had questions from my old book. One question that I had from the book I had read before, my old book about the kahuna, was why did the kahuna destroy their gods and convert to Christianity? They literally or not the kahuna, the natives, why did they destroy their gods and convert to Christianity? And this was answered in this book. According to this book, the natives were given a Bible, and it had writing in a language that they did not understand. Well, according to their prophecy, when a certain being returned, they would receive a black box with writing in a language that they could not understand, or with strange characters that they could not read. And so, according to this book, the authors believe that when the natives saw this, they made the assumption that this being had come back and that they did not need these other gods anymore because this being had returned. And that's why they converted to Christianity. But I don't know, some of their stories are very similar to Christianity, and it was there before Christianity even came around. The same with the flood story. A lot of cultures have the story of the flood. Maybe there was an actual flood that did happen. I don't know. Sometimes you have bits of truth hidden in bits of mythology. And it's okay. But yeah, this book was excellent, except for the typos. The typos got on my last nerve. Like, there were typos throughout this whole book. Hopefully they created another edition of this book and got rid of the typos, but other than that, I learned a lot. I learned to never piss off a kahuna. I learned that if I wanted to bring a kahuna to me, I could probably send a telepathic message either through a coconut or just with my mind. I'm pretty sure if I just think hard enough and send this message out into the universe, a teacher will arrive to me to teach me these things, because I truly do want to learn this system. It's just fascinating. The kahuna, a lot of them went into hiding because they were being persecuted. So some people might be like, I'm a kahuna, ha ha ha, but they're an imposter, they're not a kahuna. So you always have to have discernment, especially when it comes to spiritual things. You don't want to end up with the wrong person. You don't want to get into a situation that could have been prevented if you had been initiated in the first place. Just saying. So happy reading to everyone, and have a beautiful rest of your day.